Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches with our executive director. Mark, those who follow along on this podcast know that Living Hope Church, the church I lead, is in the middle of planting a church, and I had an opportunity the other day to sit in on the cohort, the church planting cohort, with Andy,
Right.
and hear updates from several guys that are planting churches in Sovereign Grace. It's exciting that we're planting churches in the months ahead. But we talk about church planting. We have a passion for planting. Begs the question, though, why are we so interested in planting churches?
It's a great question, Ben. We're interested in planting churches not to grow Sovereign Grace. We are interested in planting churches because that's what you see in the New Testament. The gospel advanced, at least in part, through the planting of churches. And as those churches were planted, there were opportunities to reach people who didn't know Christ as their Savior with the good news of Jesus Christ. So that's why we plant churches. And the church plants that we have planned in the coming year are really for that purpose, to establish a church in an area where we don't have any gospel opportunities, praying for and asking God to give us opportunities to reach the lost again with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And one of the things that's interesting that's happening in our world, regardless of what nation a listener to this podcast is in, is we are living in a world that's much more globally connected more than ever. So here in the States, we're finding these opportunities now to plant churches, not only English-speaking churches, which we've primarily done historically for 41 years, but now new opportunities to plant Spanish-speaking and Chinese-speaking churches. So in the coming year, we've got a Chinese church plant in Charleston, South Carolina, and a Spanish church Spanish-speaking church plant planned for Yuma, Arizona in the coming year. And those, again, are just opportunities for us to participate in reaching the lost with the good news of Jesus Christ and fulfilling the Great Commission to make disciples of all nations that Jesus commanded us to do.
Yeah, excellent. It was quite interesting to hear from those guys planting non-English speaking churches. And you mentioned the Chinese speaking church plant in Charleston. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, our plan is to plant a Mandarin speaking church in Charleston, South Carolina, that will launch in the fall of this year, fall of 2023. Mike Seaver tells me, Mike, by the way, if you don't know Mike, is the senior pastor of Risen Hope Church in Somerville, South Carolina, which is right there in the Charleston area. But Mike tells me that there are 5,000 Chinese-speaking people in the Charleston area and only one Chinese-speaking church. So obviously there is a need to plant other Chinese-speaking churches to reach those that speak Mandarin with the good news of Jesus Christ. And that church plant is going to be led by Perry Wong, a pastor's college graduate, and has been doing a church planting residency at Risen Hope Church with Mike Seaver there in Somerville. And he is excited about planting his church. He's actually chosen a name for the church, Cornerstone Church, and in Mandarin the word is Jishi, Jishi, and that is just exciting to hear the name of the church in Chinese. I've also been on their website, which I'm going to give that information in just a moment, and there it is. It's all in Chinese. I can't read any of it, but it's just exciting to see Sovereign Grace being involved in reaching Chinese speakers with the good news of the gospel. Perry is going to be planting I believe, on the north side of Charleston. And he's just beginning to have interest meetings. So anyone that would be interested in joining this church plant can contact Perry. And actually there's a need, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to devote an episode in this podcast to this particular church plant, is that if you're a pastor who have Chinese speakers in your church, or you're listening to this podcast, or a reader of this podcast, and you're a Mandarin speaker, please reach out to Perry and get more information. Maybe the Lord would have you pray about joining Perry in Charleston to help him plant that church. Let me just give you Perry's contact information. Perry's email is Perry, Perry, at jishi.church. That's at JISHI.church. And the website, by the way, that I mentioned, I really encourage people just to look at their website, whether you plan to be a part of this church plant or not, is www.jishi.church, Jishi Church. So I wanted to just support what Mike is doing. Mike is not only the senior pastor of Risen Hope Church, but also our church planting coordinator. He's just got a real heart to see churches planted. And he's very excited about launching this team from his church. And Perry has just been working hard to prepare for this church plant. But we would love to have other Chinese speakers join Perry. So if you're interested, please contact Perry at the information that I just gave. And I think you'll also be able to find in the transcript of this podcast as well.
Excellent. It is so encouraging to see how, we've been planting churches for, as you said, decades, but as we continue to mature as a family of churches, the opportunities are expanding. And so it is quite a thrill to see what God is doing as we seek to make him known and advance the gospel around the globe and here at home as well. So thanks for the update, Mark. Thank you all for watching or reading. We'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.